Taking on a massive hike is more than a badass adventure. It's a journey of, of self-discovery and joy. The Appalachian Trail stretches over 2,000 miles from Georgia all the way up to Maine. So many people dream of doing this as a through hike, but very few of them finish, and even less actually start. So here's why doing a section hike of any big trail might be the best choice you've ever made. My name is Sarah, I'm a survivalist, and I am your adventure buddy on the hike of life. Here are my top 5 reasons to do a section hike. Let's go. I know a lot of people are probably going to argue with this one, but doing a section hike costs less than doing a through hike. I don't just mean money, I mean time. Yes, I know it's the same amount of miles either way, but you have to remember this thing called the compound effect. When you're hiking 10 miles a day every day for 5 to 7 months, you're gonna get injured. Things are gonna go wrong, you're gonna get sick, and well, I totally think that's like part of the fun of it all. The reality is a lot of people can't afford that. They can't afford to leave their job for 6 months. They can't afford to leave their family for 6 months. There's obviously a lot to gain in a through hike, but you do give a lot up, and most people are not in a position to stop their entire lives. That's a huge cost. Section hikes are way easier to plan. So the average through hike is like 4 to 7 months, which means half a year of planning food drops, gear replacement, medical things, personal needs, and lodging. When you do a section, you're just doing one bite at a time. You can learn from the section, come home, regroup, and then go in 10% better for the next section. It's also easier to manage in that with each section you do, you get to come home, reflect on what you learned so that the next section is even easier and more enjoyable. It's about the process and not as much about the end result. Speaking of process, mine got a little messed up and I clearly lost trail footage for this part. But when you do a section hike and then another section hike, it has this really magical time capsule effect. It's a lot like visiting an old friend. Each time you go to do a new section, it's gonna remind you of who you were when you were last on this trail. It's gonna take you back to where you were in life, how you felt, what you were doing, and ideally be a kind of like resource of self-reflection and self-love. But this is where you have to be really honest with yourself and just, what do you want? Why are you even considering this in the first place? For me, I'm an all or nothing person. I would happily leave the world for 6 months to be on a trail. However, I've been doing that a long time, and it's time for me to practice committing to something consistently over a longer period of time. So, section hiking is a better fit for me. But really think about what you want, where you are in life, and what you want to get out of this experience. When you're through hiking, you do have to think about weather. You're trying to beat winter. You're trying to get to the end before the snow comes in. When you're section hiking, you can go any time of year, more or less. And because you're not hiking for as long with as much gear, I personally always bring like more treats on a smaller hike than a bigger hike. So on a through hike, I probably wouldn't pack tons of chocolate, but on a section hike, obviously I'm gonna pack extra chocolate. When you set out on any journey in the great outdoors, you're connecting so deeply with your inner and outer world. So make sure you subscribe for more videos about exploring your inner and outer world. But first, let's recap the top 5 reasons doing a section hike might be one of the greatest decisions you've ever made. For one, it's process-based. You get to revisit the trail like an old friend each time you do a new section. And when you're on each section, you have more time to enjoy it. And personally, I pack a little heavier for shorter trips. So that means more chocolate at your tent site. You get a ton of logistical flexibility with a section hike. You can hike with different friends, you don't have to worry about injuries, and you can work around your job or personal obligations. It's also way easier to plan. You don't have to worry about as many food drops, lodging, or weather changes. Section hiking is also lower cost, and I don't just mean money, I mean time and the compound effect of being on trail every day doing 10 miles a day for months on end. So whether you're doing the entire Appalachian Trail, a section hike, or just a walk around the block, thank you for letting me be your adventure buddy on the hike of life. Enjoy the journey. See you in the next video. Worth it.